Welcome back, guys. So let's talk about day one of 31 Days of Horror. And today I'm going to talk about Cutting Class. But before I talk about Cutting Class real quick, I want to mention that I do this every year where I watch a horror movie every day of October. But this year is going to be different because I have so many responsibilities in real life. It's hard to watch an actual horror movie in a whole month, like one movie a day. So I'm actually starting early. So I'm recording this beforehand. So it's not like every single day I watch these in October, but it'll be a review every day of October. And in a perfect world, I wanted to just watch them all every day in October, but with my work life, with my personal life, it's hard to literally do that sometimes. And this year is pretty hectic. So you'll just see them pre-recorded for the most part. But I kind of wanted to also play catch up with some movies that I just have neglected to review that I watched recently. So I'm really excited to talk about all the stuff I've seen. But first off, let's talk about Cutting Class, which I have the Arrow release I just got from a friend with the awesome slipcover. This is the actual artwork. Cutting Class. The IMDb description of this is that a murderer is loose in a high school in this whodunit movie. And that is IMDb's literal description for this movie. And that's the most generic description for a slasher I've ever heard. And it basically is just saying it's like any other slasher. It has a 4.5 on IMDb, which I could see in terms of filmmaking. It's not anything special. It's just a silly movie. But the plot, I'd say, is somebody's killing all these kids around in the school. Is it Brian, who just got released from the institution, or is it Dwight, who has some weird tendencies, or is it the teacher who vies for Paula? It could be anybody in this whodunit slasher, is what I'd say more as a description than the IMDb's description. This one has a good cast, a really good cast, and I was surprised. Again, this is a first watch, like every movie in October, it will be a first watch. But I've always wanted to see Cutting Class. I love that artwork. I love that poster of all three of them. And it's just a really simple poster. But it has Donovan Leitch, if I pronounce that right, who plays Brian, who's billed first. And he was also in the Blob remake, which I really dig. That one's awesome. You got Jill Sholin. Again, another last name. I don't know if I pronounced it right. Who plays Paula. And she's in so many horror movies I really like. The Stepfather, Popcorn, the Robert Englund Phantom of the Opera, which I think is okay, but she's in that as well. She's in a lot of horror stuff. And then Brad Pitt in his first major role as Dwight. And it's really interesting to see this because Brad Pitt, of course, is Brad Pitt. Everybody knows who he is. He's famous. He's done dozens of movies. It's funny to see this is his first big role, and he really does a good job in this. I think, honestly, for his acting performance in this, I think it actually is really interesting. You also have Martin Mull as Bill, Paula's dad, who I know from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but I know he's been in a lot of other stuff. The point of Martin Mull in this movie is that he gets shot with an arrow, and then the movie randomly cuts to him throughout the movie saying or screaming "help." And that's pretty much all of Martin Mull's performance in the movie. But Martin Mull's awesome. I still like him in the movie. You got Roddy McDowall as Mr. Dante, the pedophilic teacher who vies for Paula. He is in love with Paula, and he's creepy, and he kind of just plays into that idea of, is this one of the murder? Could this be the murderer? You also have Nancy Fish, who I had to look up this actress's name. Nancy Fish is the actress that is also in The Exorcist 3, the smoking nurse, who does a really good job with bit parts. And I really liked her in Exorcist 3, and I like her a lot in this one. Now, this one, in terms of the kills, they aren't really shown on screen. This one is really a much more of a don't see, don't tell kind of thing. Or you just see the aftermath. It's not like an impact. Like, you don't see, like, for example, you don't see the axe get thrown into the face with this guy. You just see the aftermath of it's in his face kind of thing. Or he's just moving around with it already in his face. And that's fine, but it could have made the movie a little more graphic if they actually showed like it happening, and that would have made it cool with the practical effects. But it's still fine that it doesn't show all of the kills. It just shows kind of the aftermath. They're kind of just, they're not really very flashy. They're just kind of like quick instances and they're over. There's a Xerox kill in this that I thought was funny because this was released in 1989, but it was filmed in 1987. But the Xerox kill in this, where Nancy Fish gets slammed on the Xerox printer, is the same as the kill in Child's Play 2, where the caretaker in Child's Play 2 is knocked onto the Xerox machine and it shows her face getting printed off. Great spool in that movie. But it's funny to see that similar kill. And there's an impaling flagpole scene, which I thought was funny. It was very far distance, but I thought it was effective. There's a great scene with the girl behind bleachers, and she thinks she's with her boyfriend, but she's with the killer. And then she screams, and when she screams, they make a goal in basketball. So, like, everybody screams while she screams, so nobody hears her. And I thought that was a good use of dark humor. Like, I thought that was pretty hilarious. And again, the axe to the face. And I think that's most of the kills. But I do think that they're pretty good kills. They just aren't really visually like there as much, but they're still fine. This also has some really over-the-top lines. I really like the janitor talking to Paula and Dwight saying, "Shouldn't you be in school? You're not cutting class, are you?" Wah wah, And the scene with Dwight and the coach, where the coach says, "Dwight, get ready," and Dwight just says, "Fuck you," and the coach just says, "Fuck you too," and they just keep saying "fuck you" back and forth. And then Dwight says, "You can't talk to students like that," and the coach just says, "Fuck you, just get ready." Like those lines are really, really good. And I'm not gonna spoil the killer reveal in this because, like, I usually don't want to. I don't want to do that. I think that with these movies, I always enjoy really finding who the killer is. That's why I really like slashers. It's just funny to see why they're the killer and why they're doing this stuff. But the killer reveal, pretty obvious for me. Like, it wasn't like super mysterious. Like, it was just like you kind of really figured out quickly who it was going to be, or you kind of nailed it down who it was going to be, kind of thing. But whenever the killer is revealed, it gets really fun. Like, it was already fun already, but it gets really fun. And the performances in this, I really liked how over the top they were. They really gave me just a fun time, because I really liked the lines. I really liked the characters. I thought they were goofy and over the top, but they were fun. And also, I realized this. I looked it up on IMDb. I always look up trivia for movies after I watch them, typically on IMDb after I'm done watching a movie. And apparently, Jill Schoen and Brad Pitt got engaged, but then they broke it off. But that was funny that they might have been married. Just seeing that would have been an interesting, different route they would have took. Maybe Jill Schoen would have been like an actress still, or doing like big things still. There's a line from Dwight talking about Brian. He's probably in Missouri, which home state, but also Brad Pitt went to the University of Missouri, so that was a funny line that they kind of shoehorned in there, but whether intentionally or not, but I thought that was fun. And yeah, pretty much overall, I did think Cutting Class was just really solid and really, really entertaining. Like, I have no real problems here. I thought it was really fun. It was never boring. It just had a lot of fun 80s-isms to it, and I thought it was a fun slasher. Again, I'm glad I got the era release. Thank you, John. My friend John got this for me. One of my patrons, or my only patron, I guess I could say. But yeah. That is it for today on Cutting Class. Stay tuned for the rest of the 31 Days of Horror, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.